Negative portalways. Portalways are energetic doorways that can be used to travel between dimensions, between lives, between timelines, to other astrals and other places in the multi-universe. We use positive portals all the time. Negative portals are portalways that are open to negative influences or places, or even positive portalways that have turned to negative because they have been left open and are now causing a distraction in the person's energy field matrix. We can have negative portalways open within our inner world, our subconscious, our emotional body, and our mental body. So we've gone into negative portalways when it comes to properties and houses, but now we're just focusing on negative portalways within people. And this can show up within our inner worlds, our subconscious mind, our mental body, and our emotional body. So now let's look at some of the ways they can be created. These are just some of the common ways negative portalways can be open within us, but there are hundreds of ways. When doing this work, we don't have to find out where the portalway is open to, we just clear them. But I want to share with you some of the most common ones that I come across. So let's look at the attaching mechanisms, or how does this happen? Implants. Implants create negative portalways to whoever is running the implant, and it's used to harness vital force energy while the implant also runs a program. We'll go more into this when we talk about implants. So implants do create negative portalways to open. We will be going into implants in another section, but basically the implant, the negative etheric implant, will run a program, and it also opens a negative portalway. So when that negative program is operating, the vital force energy is siphoned through the negative portalway open. So that is one of the ways a negative portalway can be open within someone's inner being. They can also be created through dark arts placed on us from a past life. So if we've had black magic or any other dark arts placed on us from a past life, this can create a negative portalway to remain open to that lifetime. This can feel like bad karmic debt the person is carrying around, but it's really just a negative vibrational frequency created by the negative portalway that keeps creating bad situations to keep occurring. So when it comes to past life situations, if we've been involved in a past life where some dark arts like curses and voodoo and those sorts of things, which we're going to go into when we come to the dark arts section, there's different types of energy that the dark arts use. So if we've had some form of dark arts placed on us in a past life and we didn't resolve it in that past life, this can create a negative portalway to remain open to that past life. And this can create vibrational issues within us in this lifetime. So the person can feel as though that they've got some, bad karma kind of hanging over their shoulder, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's literally a negative portalway open to a past life that's still allowing this disgusting vibrational energy to affect them in this present life situation. It can also happen if we have dark arts placed upon us in this lifetime. So if we have had black magic or any other dark arts placed on us in this lifetime, this can create a negative portalway to remain open to the person who cast the dark magic. So if we have had some form of dark arts placed on us in this lifetime, then this can literally create a negative portalway to remain open to the person who cast the black magic or the dark arts. So basically any type of black magic or dark arts placed on us creates a negative portalway to be open. If it was placed on us in a past life, then it means a negative portalway will be open to the past life, creating a really negative vibrational tone to come through and affect the person in this present life. If the dark arts was placed on someone in this lifetime, then it will be, the negative portalway will be open to the person that casts the dark magic. So it basically has the same effect, apart from if it was cast in a past life, the negative portalway won't be necessarily open to the person who casts the dark magic, but it still will remain open to that past life, which allows the vibrational tone of that dark energy to still affect the person. But it is different to being still open to the person of the originator. Because if you think about it, the person that casts the dark arts in the past life has passed over as well and probably incarnated into a present life time frame in this time-space reality. But the negative portal won't be open to that person still. It will actually remain open to that past life. And it will remain open in order for that negative energy to still affect them in this present life. Now, if it's a present life dark arts cast upon you in this lifetime and the person's still alive, then the negative portalway will remain open to that person. If you have had dark arts placed upon you in this lifetime and the originator has died, that negative portalway will actually still remain open. It won't remain open to the person who cast it, but the negative portalway will still remain open in this lifetime. And it doesn't have necessarily an end point. It will just remain open. And that allows other negative energies and influences to use that as an open pathway into your inner world. So it does change, obviously, if it's this lifetime and the person who cast the dark arts dies, because then it's like an open pathway, it's an open portalway that allows other stuff to come in. If the person in this lifetime who casts the dark arts on you or your client is still alive, then the negative portalway will be connected to that particular person, okay? So it does make a difference. Now, we can also open negative portals within ourselves through negative thought processes. We can have negative portalways open within our minds from thinking negative thoughts consistently. This is why some people say they went down a negative wormhole or rabbit hole from reading, watching, or experiencing some dark stuff or thinking about some crazy, twisted situations, etc. So when it comes to opening negative portalways within our own being, this comes from our mind, our thoughts. Now, like I said, we can have negative portalways open within our mental grid or our emotional grid. But the way that it opens in our emotional grid is still through our thought processes first, because thoughts affect emotions. So there has to be a thought before an emotion. So when we have negative thoughts, and we are consistent in our negative thoughts, we're not only programming our mental or emotional body with negative energy, which could literally turn into negative thought form entities. It also has the possibility of opening negative portals within our subconscious mind, our mental body grid, or our emotional body grid, depending on the thoughts. So if you're somebody who's consistently and constantly creating negative thoughts and it's repeating things over and over again, that is enough to open up a negative portalway. It also can happen if you're thinking of things, or you watch something, or you read something that allows you to go down a wormhole or rabbit hole. You may have heard of that expression, when someone feels like they've gone down a negative wormhole or a negative portalway because they've read or watched something and they haven't been able to stop thinking about it over and over again. Now, I know this happened to me when I first was exposed to conspiracy theories. When I first started researching and being exposed to some of the major covered truths that are around on this planet, it literally put me into a spiral, and the more I researched, the more I was going down this negative wormhole. Now, in that situation, because I wasn't grounding myself properly, and because I wasn't able to really direct my thoughts in a constructive, positive way around negative information, then what happened is I was finding myself going down these negative wormholes, and while I was doing that, I was actually opening up all these different negative portalways, and I was becoming quite accessible. And I had a lot of stuff going on at the time because I was going down these negative wormholes, allowing negative portalways to open. So this is the reason why, even when it comes to this information, I keep repeating over and over that it's really important to see this information as just possible and not locking it down as truth. You're just seeing it as possible. And the way that I explained in one of the videos about your mind and how when we get introduced to information that kind of starts to make our mind bend a bit, we can start to release ourselves from certain boxes that we've locked down as truth. And this happens when we become more and more awake to the truth of who we are in our universe. It's a natural process because our minds are so locked and boxed in. So we have to kind of have these moments where our mind goes poof. You know, it's like that saying, you have to lose your mind to come to your senses. It's really, really true. But the important thing is that we're very aware that we're in control of our mind, and we're in control of where our mind goes. When you're able to let your mind receive the information with the process of seeing it just as being possible, then it literally takes a lot of pressure off the brain. You allow your mind to open in a more gradual way instead of it being locked down as truth. Because when we lock something down as truth, we're not opening our brains like I've explained. We want our brains to be open to all possibilities, not locked down into more boxes. So this is the process. If you can do this with all information, when you're taking in any information, especially when it's, you know, a bit negative, when you're coming across information, to practice mindfulness, to practice allowing the information to come in and only seeing it as a possibility while remaining very mindful of how your mind is handling the information. Now, if you find that your mind is not handling the information, it's starting to have a bit of a schism. When you find that your brain's having a schism, it's really important that you're able to understand and be aware of that, and then direct your mind into something more positive and more grounding. So you literally can feel the brain schism. Oh, this information's like creating a schism. Okay, I'm going to stop for the moment. I'm going to direct my brain into something positive and ground, and then I'm going to come back to the information and open up again. And this process is something really important to do. It's something that I wish I'd learnt earlier on, because I would have stopped myself from going down lots of different negative wormholes and opening myself up to negative portalways within my subconscious mind, my mental grid and emotional grid. So very, very important. So basically it's the self-awareness, the self-monitoring, being able to be conscious of where your mind is in all moments. Now, I definitely don't do this. Believe me, I am not someone who is conscious every moment of my day. But the one thing that I do is make it my daily dedication to see how long I can stay awake throughout the day. You know, like how long can I stay really mindful of and present in every moment, so I'm consciously directing, you know, my vehicle and my life. So this process is the process, my daily dedication and my daily sort of like goal is to see how long I can stay mindful and present and awake at the wheel, and also monitoring my thoughts, because have a look at the information that I'm having to submerge myself in right now. I'm sometimes awake, you know, in the middle of the night, writing about some pretty dark stuff. It's been months and months that I'm submersed in this information, writing about it, thinking about what I need to bring in, you know, like, but it's my job to make sure that I am constantly monitoring my thoughts, because I will not allow myself to go down a pathway that's going to lead to a negative portalway. And there's one more thing that I would like to say, because it's really interesting if I try and articulate that process. Before a negative portalway opens, you will feel as though it's first a pathway. A pathway that you feel like you want to go and explore. So your mind will go, oh, here's a pathway. And you might walk a little bit down the pathway with your thoughts. And there'll be a moment where it turns into just about to turn into a negative portalway. So when you take your mind walking down a pathway, if you're aware of that, you'll feel a point where it's like, oh, hang on a minute, it's about to turn into a negative portalway. So I'm going to backtrack all the way out of this pathway so I don't go through the doorway of the portalway. So I hope that makes sense. Now, if this doesn't make sense to you, that's okay, because when you're in a moment of that, you might remember this and you'll articulate it and go, oh, that's what she meant by that. So I just wanted to say that because there's some of you that actually will know exactly what I'm talking about. You would have already felt and articulated that process within yourself before. So it's a very, very amazing thing to be aware of, and to actually see yourself and feel yourself walking down a pathway, and then getting to that point where it's like, oh, if I go any further, I'm actually walking through a doorway that's opened, that I'm going to open to a negative portalway. So you can actually feel the process happening, which I find extremely fascinating. I've trained myself to know when I'm walking down a pathway that's about to turn into a negative portalway, and that stops a lot of my blowouts that I used to have when I first started this work. So I really hope that that helps you if you're ever in a space where you start to have a little bit of a mental schism, to check in to make sure you haven't crossed through a doorway that's led you down a negative portalway. Because if that's the case, you'll be able to clear it and close it down. And just quickly, I just want to say, you know, how much our minds are responsible for so much. It's just so important. Like, there's no other way to have an awesome life and to live into your fullest potential without mastering this thing inside. It is the most important thing. When you master your mind, you master your emotions, and you master your energy frequency. And when you can master your vibrational frequency, you can be the creator of your reality. And it all comes down to here. So really, really important. When dealing with anything dark or negative, how you use your mind to navigate it will affect your results. Being able to navigate darkness without getting caught in the darkness comes down to your ability to master your thoughts and emotions. Another way negative portalways can open within our being is through entities attached. If we have entities attached, they can create negative portalways in order to access vital force energy. Entities, when they attach, they open a negative portalway in order to siphon our vital force energy. So obviously, you know, that's another way that we can have negative portalways operating within our own energy matrix. Now, another way that we can have negative portalways open within our own energy being is through certain technology. If we're using certain technology, a negative portalway can open in order for access. This can happen in certain computer games, in movies and shows. Facebook and other social platforms can allow negative portalways to open. Even using mobile phones can allow one to open. This is due to the internet being a massive energetic web with millions and millions of pathways that we open and close portalways within every time we use it. We are designed to function this way, but certain technology is more negatively blueprinted than others. Social media platforms like Facebook create negative portalways being opened within people just by going to spy on someone you don't really like or are jealous of. As soon as our intentions are not clear, we put ourselves in the grey area we spoke about at the start of the course. And this is the energy matched with the ability to connect straight to their page, their energetic space. And this is prime breeding grounds needed to open negative portalways. So basically, certain technology can open negative portalways. Now, when you think about technology, especially when you talk about social media and the web, so the internet is an energetic web. It's an energetic pathways, millions, billions and billions even of energetic pathways. Now, this is also true when we speak on the phone. When you speak to someone on the phone, it's also an energetic pathway. So technology can open negative portalways. Now, like I said, some technologies, like some games, even when it comes to shows and movies, right? Because they're also shown on technology, some are blueprinted more negatively than others. Now, if you have somebody who's, you know, really connected to themselves, really, you know, clear and a clear channel, and they write a movie and then they go and make that movie, then, and everything around that movie has been created in the highest love, you know, vibration and clear vibration, then when you sit down to watch that movie, you're probably going to experience positive portalways. You're probably going to experience, you know, a positive interaction with the energetics of that creation, because it's all still energy. And when whatever you've created, you blueprint your creation through the energy that you create it with. So if you have somebody who's, you know, kind of taken deals with negative forces, who are in the Hollywood scene, and you got some sort of movie writer who's, you know, taken packs and deals from negative forces and has entities going on, and then they write a movie and they, you know, they write their thing and then they get the movie produced and it's made, and we sit down and we watch that movie, then there could be negative portalways opening, and we could have interference and transference happening through that movie or show. Now, this is how, you know, programs on TV are designed as well. They're designed to open and close certain pathways and portalways, and some of them are positive, some of them are very negative. So being aware that when we engage in technology, it's an energetic system, it's still energetic, it has millions and billions of pathways and possibilities of opening and closing, just like a human it does as well. So when we're on places like Facebook, so Facebook, I can give an example of, you know, how you use Facebook is really, really important to how much negative portalways or positive portalways open. So an example of this is I hop on Facebook and I go and have a look at some of my, you know, close friends' page to see what they're going on. I see a photo of my best friend doing something awesome, and I send her some love and might like and comment on a photo of hers, and I have this love connection. And through that connection and being in her Facebook, on her Facebook page, which is her energetic space, it's like her energetic lounge room. So I go into her energetic lounge room, which is her Facebook page, and I connect with her over a photo and like it and write a nice comment, and I have love for her. Now, that is a positive portalway that's just opened, and, you know, there's been energetic transference of love, and then it closes. When I go off her page, it should close. Now, if I go on Facebook and instead of going and hanging out in my good friends and people that I love, their energetic lounge room on Facebook, instead, if I decide to go and have a look at someone that I'm jealous of. So I might get on Facebook, and if I'm like, oh, I want to see what such and such is doing because I've got jealousy, I go to her or his Facebook page, well, instantly I've allowed myself to walk in to their energetic space, their energetic lounge room, right? Now, if my intentions are not clear, what do you think happens through the law of attraction? If my intentions are not clear, the pathway open matches that level of intention. So if I'm jealous as hell and I don't like this person, but I want to go into her energetic or his energetic space just for a bit of a sticky beak, what I've done is I've literally just opened the door to the same energetic vibrational tone as my intention. And as you can imagine, if I've gone in there out of jealousy and spite just to check on what he or she is doing, then I've just opened a negative portalway straight to that person. Now, what that means is that I'm not actually accessing the person, but I am accessing a negative portalway within that person's space. So I've just tainted that person's space, but I've doubly just tainted my own Facebook page and also my own energy body. So You know, that is how we can literally have negative portalways open all the time. Some people who are extremely jealous or just really nasty and judgmental about people, someone who judges people all the time and want to go and have a look at that and sticky beak in that and do, you know, have a look at what that person's doing. These are the sorts of people that I work, if they come to me for work, I find them loaded with negative portalways because, you know, they're doing it to themselves. They're matching every time they have an intention that's not of high integrity, they are risking opening a negative portalway to the same level of integrity, or should I say lack of integrity, and the quality of their energy. And if that's nasty, judgmental and jealous, they're just going to open up a lot of stuff within themselves very, very quickly. Another way negative portalways can open within ourselves is when we withdraw inside ourselves for long periods. If someone has something happen that creates them to withdraw inside themselves, deep into their inner world because of some kind of trauma for long periods of time, then negative portalways can open in there and the person could get lost inside their own inner world and find it hard to find their way back out. This can look like the saying, the lights are on but no one's home type of situation, and often leads to some kind of mental illness diagnosis. Now, this does not mean that all mental illness is negative portalways open inside someone's inner world and they're lost in there, although that could be one possibility out of hundreds of possibilities. So when it comes to deep soul trauma or something happening which makes somebody withdraw deep within their own inner world, sometimes if this happens for a long period of time, negative portalways can open deep within someone's inner world, and this can create, like I said, the saying, the lights are on but nobody's home. This can literally create someone to get lost deep within their inner world and not be able to find their way out. Now, this can lead to, you know, people being diagnosed with mental illness. And like I said, though, this doesn't mean that all mental illness is due to negative portalways being open within their inner world, but it can definitely be one of the reasons. And I've also found that even mental illness that wasn't created through negative portalways being open deep within their own inner world and getting lost in there, I have found that mental illness that's created from other things can still create negative portalways to be open within their inner world, because mental illness can, not always, but can allow someone to go into very negative wormholes and stuff. So it can definitely accompany mental illness. Negative portalways open can definitely be accompanied through mental illness, and you will find that when people, you know, come to you that are suffering from mental illness, but it doesn't mean that it's the cause of it. But sometimes it can literally be the cause of it. It can be because someone spent too much time deep in their inner world, withdrawing from everything else, going so deep in and going through so much trauma and going over and over the trauma that they actually get stuck in the trauma and go down some weird wormhole or rabbit hole where negative portalways will open within their inner world. And if a negative portalway is open deep within your inner world, you can get lost in there because there's a whole universe in there. So it's very easy for someone who's spent a lot of time, you know, deep within themselves withdrawing, that they can kind of be spat out into some really, you know, weird space and get trapped down some negative portalway. Now, this doesn't mean that, you know, if you spend a month, you know, withdrawing and going in to deal with some sort of trauma, this doesn't mean that this is going to happen. I'm more talking about long term, and if I feel into that, a time space, you know, around 3 months, you know, longer than 3 months is definitely getting close to a dangerous level if someone's withdrawn for longer than 3 months, you know, and if they're getting trapped in the trauma and not trying to unpack the trauma and unravel the trauma. If they're just getting stuck in it, you know, it's definitely getting to a very dangerous level, you know, around the 3-month period. But it can happen sooner for someone. You know, I'm not going to say it takes 3 months before it's dangerous. Someone can spend a few weeks going deep within themselves and getting stuck in deep, dark trauma and open negative portalways. But the difference is, I usually find if they get trapped quicker, there's more chance of them finding their way out. But the longer the person's been disconnected and just going in and getting stuck in the trauma, then the longer that that's been happening, the harder it is for them to find their way out. Another way that negative portalways can open within our own inner being is through negative unjustified karma. Now, if we have negative unjustified karma from a past life, this can create negative portalways to remain open. This can make someone feel like they are living the same karmic debt over and over. So negative unjustified karma is another thing that can keep our negative portalway open to a past life. Negative unjustified karma is basically karma that isn't necessarily due to us, or it's not cause and effect, I should say. So sometimes negative unjustified karma means that we have punished ourselves, or there's something going on within us that hasn't allowed us to let something go and put it to rest. So sometimes we in a past life might have done something that we then punish ourselves for at soul level. And that deep soul level punishment can be enough to keep negative unjustified karma open, which means that the person has a negative pathway or a negative portalway open to that past life that is allowing that negative frequency or negative energetic signature from whatever happened in that past life that made them feel so bad and punish themselves. It means that that negative portalway will stay open to that past life to constantly bring that frequency through the pathway and through the doorway in order to remind that soul never, ever, 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 ever to do that again. So it's a self-punishment thing. Now, when we find negative unjustified karma, it basically means that the person, you know, it's just they haven't forgiven themselves. They haven't closed it off and made it and seal that negative portalway. So this kind of thing, I find when someone comes to me and they've got negative unjustified karma going on, they just feel like they're a bad person. They feel like they're living the same karmic consequences over and over again and have no idea why. When we find a negative portalway open, if the energetic root cause is negative unjustified karma, closing that portalway down will really help the person just let go of this kind of energy that's been following them for lifetimes. So just closing a negative portalway down for someone who has negative unjustified karma can make a massive difference in their life. So that's pretty awesome. The results in a person. There are many results that can play out, but here are just a few. They can create nightmares. Now, if there are some open to negative astrals or to negative timelines or other places, then these can actually create nightmares. Now, not all nightmares are created through negative portalways being open to the astrals or negative timelines or other places, but sometimes it definitely can be. You can also find distractions while we're awake, such as constant daydreaming, if any kind are open. So, you know, if someone has some negative portalways open, they just might find themselves blanking out and kind of going on a daydream. Sometimes this is really, really full on for someone, to the point where they can waste an hour just daydreaming and not know how the hell that happened. Sometimes it's due to negative portalways. We can become confused, and this usually happens if we have one open to a past life. I find that when I have negative portalways open to a past life in a client, they're usually, you know, feeling quite confused. They're finding it harder to make decisions, a little bit of brain fog kind of thing. So that confusion, that little bit of mental confusion can happen if someone has one open to a past life, because the past life information is also coming through and the person gets confused because they're picking up on old keys and codes that no longer fit for them, and they're also picking up obviously on the negative energy as well, so it creates that confusion. We can also become emotionally overwhelmed if we have open negative portalways in our emotional body. So, you know, if we've got negative portalways open in our emotional body, you can imagine this is going to feel emotionally overwhelmed. If I find one or two negative portalways open in someone's emotional grid, I can usually tell that that person's, they're not really struggling emotionally, but they feel off emotionally. They'll find that they're just not reacting the same way, that they're more highly emotional. But if I find, usually over three, if I find three or more negative portalways open in someone's emotional grid, then I can pretty well guarantee that they're not really coping that well, and they will find themselves, you know, having periods of breaking down emotionally, just really feeling overwhelmed and not really knowing what's going on emotionally. We can also feel mentally overwhelmed if we have any open in our mental body. So when we have negative portalways open in our mental grid, these can get really, really full on. And the times that I've had negative portalways open in my mental body, it's a very static and a very, very distinct feeling within your thought processes. It's like you got glitches through your thoughts. You won't be able to think clearly. You won't be able to have a nice solid sentence without it feeling glitchy. It can feel like negative thoughts are coming in fast and strong, and that you just can't really string a lot of thoughts together in a nice, coherent way. You feel just really glitchy in the mental body, and this can be really frustrating and quite scary for people. And obviously we can also find ourselves having negative emotions and thoughts if we have some open to anything negative. So that just comes with it, you know. Being emotionally overwhelmed or mentally overwhelmed is, you know, an extreme. They're like usually when we've got more than one or two open in our emotional grid or mental grid. But if we've just got like one or two open, we usually will feel just negative emotions and thoughts. It means we just become a bit more negative in our thoughts and emotions. And I found that people that have had, you know, a few going on for a long period of time, they can even, you know, remember the decline of their emotional and mental thoughts. They'll say to me things like, you know, 3 months ago, I was really positive. I was really feeling good. You know, I'd still have shitty thoughts sometimes, but I wasn't constantly in a state of negativity. But they slowly found themselves going deeper and deeper down into, you know, the rabbit hole, I suppose, or deep down into the negative spiral. So they spiraled down. Now, once somebody finds themselves in this negative spiral of negative thoughts and emotions, then obviously the more and more they go deeper down, the more chances are they're going to open more negative portalways within their emotional and mental grid, and this turns into overwhelm. We can also become irrational and extremely moody that cannot be explained. If we have any open to negative beings or any other negative entity, or due to any dark arts placed upon us like a spell or curse. So this one is probably one of the most extreme ones when it comes to negative beings or negative entities or negative dark arts. These negative portalways, if we have these open in our emotional mental grid or within our internal world, you just become extremely irrational and really moody. And it literally feels like you're losing the plot. And a lot of people can get really concerned on what's going on. They feel like they're having a breakdown, or they feel like they might be going crazy. So this one's very, very electric in the brain and in the emotional grid. You will feel a very solid type of electricity moving through your thoughts or emotions. So you'll feel it in the brain, or you'll feel it around your energetic body if it's emotional. So it's a very distinct energetic current that highlights, and it's very, very static. So as you can see, it can play out, you know, it can play out in all different types of ways, but I've tried to list kind of like the main sort of things that can happen, but we're talking about so many different types of symptoms that can show up from having negative portalways open. So I just tried to give you a few that you will be able to kind of link in and sort of gauge. But the best thing to do is just start doing readings. When you start doing readings and you start having interactions with people after you've found certain things and you hear their experiences, you start to really put the puzzle pieces together, and that is really the only way you're ever going to figure out, you know how it all works, because there's no way I could sit here and list to you all the different symptoms and results, that people can show up with if they have negative portalways open. But by just looking at these few, you can start to gauge roughly, what sort of experiences that someone could show up with. Lifespan. Portalways in a person can be a present life as well as a past life issue. Most negative portalways can be found straight away because most of them are easy to find if you know what you're looking for, and you definitely will after this course. But if we have any open in our inner world, then that can hide deep within our inner world and will only be found if highlighted. So basically if they're actively creating disturbances at the time of reading. So when it comes to lifespan, it can be a present life or a past life issue. And when it comes to hiding, most negative portalways, if they're not open deep within our inner world, most other negative portalways you'll find as soon as you read for someone, because negative portalways that are open within our exterior energy body, you'll pick up on, okay? The only ones that I think you can hide will be the ones that are created inside someone's inner world. So if a negative portalway is open on the inner world, you may not find it unless it's highlighted at the time of reading. So when it comes to the ones that are on the inner world, sometimes, we won't find them unless they're activated. But all the other negative portalways open on the exterior part of our energy bodies, you will find and pick up straight away.